they don't care as much as about you personally being an immigrant and being in the United States and creating some business or just building something. It's more of the fact that they want to deal with American businesses inherently. So if you personally, you are an executive of a company and you are not U.S. born, it's not as important. But the business has to be in the United States. They don't want to deal with some GmbH coming from Germany or directly with them. They want to deal with their local affiliates. So they have to have an LLC or a corporation locally, and that's who they want to deal with. They want to know that if I'm looking for this company, I will find that company in a U.S. address that I know and that I can actually go to, and the physicality, just to be able to touch it is the U.S. phone numbers, U.S. emails, ... So all of these combined is something that I feel that is very important for the U.S. partners.
Welcome to the latest edition of ICT Podcast. I'm Tibor Loves, the host of today's episode. Today we are going to discuss an extremely exciting topic that should be of interest to all businesses and business leaders, especially those considering entering the US market and starting a business there. The US market offers huge opportunities but can also present significant challenges. How to successfully navigate the US business environment, what strategies can lead to successful business expansions across the Atlantic. Our guest in today's episode is George Lovas, one of the owners of ICT Europe Group and founder of ICT Group's US subsidiary. George left Hungary 2 years ago to expand in the United States and offer his services to Hungarian and European companies in the US market. Services include accounting, tax consulting, and legal services. In today's conversation with George, we discover how he made his breakthrough in the US, the challenges he had to overcome, and his advice for those considering similar move. So join us as we explore the mysteries and opportunities of entering the US market based on George's experience. This podcast is all about charting the path to successful entrepreneurship and is guaranteed to inspire any businesses looking to cross borders and pursue the American dream. Hi, George. Thank you for accepting my invitation. So let's start at the beginning. Today in Hungary, ICT Europe Finance PLC, a Hungarian accounting firm, was ranked 6th in the last year's Budapest Business Journal ranking. It's practically the top league. Why did you open an office in the US when the company is doing well at home? Was it purely inspired by further business success, or is there a private part to the move?
This is a complex question. First of all, let me welcome all our listeners and thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to talk about.
Thank you for being here.
For our United States business and what we do there and what we do in Hungary as well. So the reason for us to move to the U.S. market, it's twofold. First of all, because I had, of course, family relationships with the United States, and I had my siblings living there since the early 90s. So I definitely had a connection with the United States before even moving there. But also there was the opportunity to create something which didn't exist on the market before, and that was the accounting group being international, but starting from an Eastern European country like Hungary. So it's not something that existed. Usually it's the other way around. Businesses come from the US and then they go to Eastern Europe, or they try to conquer the world, but it rarely comes from the other side of the world trying to conquer the United States or the markets at the United States. But there have been definitely interest before. Showing that they do want to go to the U.S. market, and we kind of just try to ride this wave and then be on the top of it.
Okay, cool. Thank you. What was the most challenging business-wise, entering the U.S. market?
That's a great question. Everything was challenging, I guess. For me personally, I think the biggest challenge is to handle everything at the same time. The fact that moving a young family, especially like mine, to the United States and creating the business at the same time is definitely a huge challenge. But I kind of had an idea of what it was going to be like before we did the move. Hence the name of the company, Lion's Courage. But I think even with everything and all the knowledge that I had before, I still underestimated the challenges that we're gonna face, and it was definitely tough on everything and everyone to create a life in the United States and create a business life besides our family life as well. So I think that twofoldness was the biggest challenge.
Okay. The business culture, how different is it from the Hungarian one?
The differences are, I think, mainly come from, although especially for the markets on the East Coast, they are definitely very pragmatic and very direct. But at the same time, there are many. They need to have some formality as far as just doing these rounds of being courteous and nice to build a relationship. And it's not as direct, I think, in some ways as it would be in Hungary. But there are similarities, and these are just slight differences of what I'm feeling. Also, there is definitely a protectionism in the United States, within the United States, towards foreign businesses. So they definitely they don't care as much as about you personally being an immigrant and being in the United States and creating some business or just building something. It's more of the fact that they want to deal with American businesses inherently. So if you personally, you are an executive of a company and you are not U.S. born, it's not as important. But the business has to be in the United States. They don't want to deal with some GmbH coming from Germany or directly with them. They want to deal with their local affiliates. So they have to have an LLC or a corporation locally, and that's who they want to deal with. They want to know that if I'm looking for this company, I will find that company in a U.S. address that I know and that I can actually go to, and the physicality, just to be able to touch it is the U.S. phone numbers, U.S. emails, ... So all of these combined is something that I feel that is very important for the U.S. partners.
Okay, thank you. What services does ICT Alliance provide?
So we just transferred all the basic services that we already had in Europe. So accounting, payroll accounting, of course, these are the cornerstones of our services, and that's what we build on. But of course, besides that, we do a lot of advisory, especially on how to enter the market. So business development is definitely part of it. And just like the questions you were asking me now, it's very similar to what I hear every single day from entrepreneurs that are coming from Hungary and moving to the US. And they could be...
I'm interested, there are many people from Hungary interested in moving from Hungary to the US?
Business-wise, I guess. Yes, they are. Actually, it's surprisingly, the market is surprisingly big. There's, we just had a conversation with a friend of mine about this, that it's so interesting that because we do other markets as well. So we had clients coming from our surrounding countries like the Czech Republic and Austria and other countries as well, Romania, for example. But somehow Hungary and Hungarians have some weird, inexplicable connection to the US, and there's definitely some intrigue and desire to want to go to the US and expand to the US. And a lot of Hungarian companies are trying to get to the US market, and they have been trying for the last 20 years. So there's definitely a big connection between the two countries.
Logical. The US is a huge market.
It is, yes. But besides just that, there's a personal interest, and also the fact that they do want to expand and try to do the US markets. And what's more surprising, and just to add to this thing, is an interesting fact that many of our clients who are trying to expand and have been big in the Hungarian market would try the US market before they would try the EU market.
Okay.
So that is something completely wild. They wouldn't want to go to Austria, which is 2 hours from here.
Yeah, next door.
Yeah, it's just mind-boggling. And when I'm asking them, like, why didn't you try to expand in the EU? It's like, yeah, I will do that too. But first we want to do it the US. And
okay.
You can't explain really why, but that's why I'm saying there's an inexplicable intrigue to the US market.
How many clients do you have?
We've built a couple. So we have, I would say, around 100 clients and businesses altogether. Of course, many of them are smaller individuals, smaller firms, sole proprietorships at the beginning. But I think it's also part of the business, and that's how we grow. But we have been very lucky and fortunate to handle bigger businesses, and we are trying to aim for the same market that we do in Hungary. So we do a lot of small and medium-sized enterprises, as well as some large firms, and many of them have affiliations boards, but in both countries too.
Okay. And typically, from which industries are most people interested?
There's no such thing.
Okay.
So there's absolutely everything and everyone. I would say we have, if we go for the smaller clientele, smaller meaning not as big like enterprise wisely, like just saying sole proprietorships or just one or two people with micro firms, they would be more interested in e-trade, e-commerce. So they would go through Amazon, they would do drop shipping, they would do just e-trade in general, web-based, whatever platform it is, but that's what they would go for. As far as going to other directions, like bigger companies, oh man, it's really everything. You can just say construction. You can definitely go for biochemicals. You go for medical devices. These are definitely a huge market. There are definitely big markets in the US, and there are definitely companies who we work with who are interested in doing business with the US, and they have been doing for a while, and they're expanding like crazy. So also because when it comes to anything medical, the US is very, very friendly towards anyone who wants to come there and develop something there, do research there, and try to sell their products to the US. And whenever it comes to medical devices or anything, new drugs that would exist and be developed, they are very, very friendly towards those businesses.
What advice would you give to companies in Hungary that are just planning to enter the US market, and what can be the possible pitfalls?
Okay, brace yourselves. That would be my first advice, and just have you got to have persistence, and you definitely have to have money to enter the US market. It's a very expensive endeavor, and if you're trying to get to the US market and try to find your place there, it's definitely it's not going to be cheap. But and this is because advice is good. It needs to be complex and not just a warning, right? If it's once you are committed to the US market, and that's the upside of my advice is that the market is huge, and the turnovers are great, and if you are pushing and you're trying and you put the same effort that you put in here in Hungary, then the rewards will be probably much, much higher.
Okay. Yes. What can you actually mention a couple of legal, tax, or accounting challenges that might actually arise, when entering the U.S. market?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, there definitely are differences. Then when you create a company, there's definitely a difference on what the forms of the companies are. So they've one side they are very similar, but there are a couple of things that would be completely different. Just to mention something for shareholders agreement, for example, for corporations, they don't need to prepare one like they would here in Hungary. They can prepare one, but it's not it's not mandatory to have one. And this is something that people would just start with and make sure that that the shareholder agreement is clean and clear cut on what the responsibilities are, what the obligations are, who owns what, who's the leader, So everything needs to be detailed and just make sure that they are 100% correct. While in the US, the state where you register will not require you to prepare one. They will just say it's up to you, man. It's complete. You gotta make sure that your business is in order, and then you can decide on how far are you going with it. So you can prepare one and you have it on your own. Or the next level is you have the prepared signed shareholders agreement, and you have a public notary, authorizing it and notarizing it actually. And the next level is that you take the notarized copies and you deposit them at a lawyer, right? So he's going to hold them for you. So there are different levels of this, and this is not something that you would think it's completely different from the Hungarian process. That's just one example on how this is how this differs. But also the legality and the taxation point of view of different entities are completely different in the US than Hungary, for example. The theory behind taxation is completely different. The levels are completely different. Of course, the municipal level being the smallest, and the state level and federal level are the three basic levels where you are taxed. And that's not something that we do in Hungary. It's not the same exact thing. We have some similarities, but not the same.
Let's talk about the future just a little bit. What are the medium-term goals for your U.S. division?
We don't have a difference in medium or long-term goals. Even in the short-term goals, we do want to expand, and that's the main focus. The build direction, or the building direction, is about the same as we did it in Hungary. So as we are going along and we are trying to improve the business, we're trying to add more and more services and just get some more people on board on different levels, and get some CPAs more on board, and get maybe a legal representation within the company somehow, just to build it out a little, and of course auditing and everything. So everything needs to expand at the same time and I think as we go along and the companies grow bigger and they have more markets in the US, then of course this will be also part of the business, and just like it was in Hungary, and how we naturally just grew and added more services. I think that's what we're going to do in the US as well.
If someone is listening to the podcast and finds it interesting, how can they get in touch with you?
I think it's very easy to get in touch with me. I think of course, all the emails are there, and we have phone numbers where they can reach us. So they're on the webpage. We're pretty much an open book. It's not really hard, and we are on every social media platform available, from LinkedIn to Facebook to Instagram, TikTok. I think we have just a variety of ways of getting in touch, and plus, if they contact the Hungarian firm, then they can get in touch with us. And if they go to us directly, there's just many ways.
Thank you for joining us for this exciting episode. We hope that George's valuable experience and advice have helped you to understand the challenges and opportunities of entering the U.S. market. If you have enjoyed today's episode and would like to hear more similar content, don't forget to follow us and stay tuned for the latest episodes. If you have any topic suggestions you'd like to see in the future podcast, don't hesitate to share them with us. Thank you for being with us, and we wish your business the best of luck as they enter the U.S. market. Be brave, dream big, and remember that the opportunities are always there. You just have to go for it. Thank you.